that's the solo to Papa Top Again by Alan Jackson with Brent Mason playing the guitar. I've always liked his playing, so I try to copy his solos when I can. Usually I'm improvising. And I have a gig Saturday with the Sterling Silver Band out at Buckeye Jack's in Apple Valley, California. So we're going to be out there all night playing country from the 50s up to now. So let me show you this solo that I'm working on. It's just over these 3 chords in the key of G. Just 1, 4, 5, 1. Does it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It changes keys when the vocal comes back in. It moves up to A. So let's look at that solo. It goes, sorry, one more time. What he's mostly doing is just outlining the chords with their arpeggios. So for G, he's using a chromatic, well actually upper diatonic and lower chromatic enclosure. So we're going to play B, D, and G with an enclosure for each note. And it's in triplets, right? So 1 and so we got the note above the B, that's C, and then we're going to approach it from below. So we got C, A sharp, B. Then the diatonic upper neighbor to D is E, and the lower chromatic neighbor is C sharp. So you got. Then we're going to do the same thing with the root, the upper diatonic neighbor, that's A, and then the lower chromatic neighbor is F sharp. And then we're going to do the same thing with this B here, but we're going to add a little bit of embellishment to that by pulling off. So you pull off from C to B, and then A sharp, and then back to B. So that's just for the G chord. 3, 4. And now we're on the 4 chord, C. And we're just going to outline that in this pattern here. So you're going to slide up to the E, the 3rd of C, and then C, and G, and another E. So those are swing 8th notes, right? So this is faster. Now we're going to slide this E up to pattern 4 in D, right? So we're going to go from here up to the 5th of the D chord. So that's, and this time we're going to play, I think it's going to turn out to be a D13 arpeggio. So we go from here. So we got the 5th, that's A on the 12th fret of string 5, and then, sorry about that, I'm shaking the camera. Then C on the 10th fret of string 4, that's the 7th of the chord. And then the 9th is the E on the 9th fret, string 3. Oh, I take that back. It's not a 13, it's just a D9 sound there. So. And we're going to bend that E up to F sharp which is the third of the chord. And then hold that. And then let it go while you keep on going to A on the 10th fret of string 2. And then you got C, another 7th, and then another 9th. So it's the 8th fret and the 12th fret. And you pull that off back to C. And now we're on the 1 chord again, G. So we're going to be thinking probably like this or this, one of these two G chords. With kind of a stock pedal steel lick there. So you hold your D on the 10th fret, and then bend from A up to B on the 10th fret of string 2. And then you're going to release that. Sorry, hit the high D first. D, B, D, and then release. And then you go back to the G on the 8th fret of string 2. Long lick there. But it's cool. Now we're going to repeat the progression. We just did G, C, D, G, and now it starts again. So we got another G, and we're just going to play another pedal steel lick, except now a higher one, starting on the root in 12th position. And we're going to rake the notes backward. So you got to bend up and also let it drop off. And hit the G on the 12th fret of string 3 at the end. And now we got a little chicken cluck in there. You can just hit a muted string. I'm using the 4th string. Before this bend from F natural on the 15th fret of string 4, bending up to G, and then another G on the 3rd string. And then another muted note. And then you're going to slide up to E, and now we're on the 4 chord again. And that's kind of a stock lick, going from D up to E, and then the G on the 3rd string, and then you slide back. And that's kind of a, what do you call it, a grace note. And it's triplets, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and now we're on to the D chord, and we're just going to outline that. Approaching from below. And this is going to be like kind of like one of those violin cadenzas where you have groups of 2 on the arpeggio of the chord. So we got D, A, F sharp, D, and then the A on the 10th fret of string 2, and then back to F sharp. So we're just outlining a D major triad, but you want a little slide down from that high A. And now we're back to the G chord. And now we have these, I'm sweeping them. Brent didn't use a regular pick. He played it with a thumb pick, so he's probably doing it like that. But it's pattern 1 G major triad shape. So, and that note is on the and. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. This is on the 1. Sorry, the G is on the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, So we're going to do 2 of those. And then we're going to move down to E and play the same thing. Get setting up the key change. So that's kind of a long line. Let me show you that. At first I was doing it like this. But I actually want to relearn it. I have to reprogram my brain. I think it's a little easier if you do it with the open position. But first you got your G sharp, which is the 3rd of the E major chord. And I like to play the E here on the 5th fret of string 2, and then open B. And then that gives you time while that open string is ringing to get down to play A with the 2nd finger on fret 2 of the 3rd string. Because then we're going to hammer on from G to G sharp, and that is a grace note, which means that the G sharp is on the beat. Actually, it's one of the 8th notes, so the G doesn't count rhythmically. Now on this one, we're on E on the 4th string, and we're just going to come down as if we were playing a pentatonic scale or something. It's E, D, B, A. And then the same kind of thing that we did up here, except now it has the full value of the triplet 8th note. And then we're going to jump back up to E and then roll to B. I just do it with one finger. I go from E on the 4th string to B on the 5th string and put a little bend on it and release to the open A's. And now we're done. Let me do the whole thing again, and I'm going to put the metronome on. I don't know what tempo it is. Like that. For this, anyway. Turn that up some. 3, 4. Got it. That's good enough for now. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. It's been a while, huh? So long.